During the early days of the original Xbox, Microsoft were known for their incredible RPGs. The original Xbox had games like Fable, Knights of the Old Republic, Morrowind, Jade Empire, Baldur's Gate, and others. Many of these games were Xbox exclusive, and games like Fable, KOTOR, and Morrowind specifically were so ambitious at the time that they were not perceived possible on console. Almost 2 decades later, Xbox is in an incredible position to match or surpass that incredible RPG output of their first console. Following the Bethesda acquisition, Xbox has a near stranglehold on the entirety of the Western RPG market. Outside of CD Projekt Red and the remnants of BioWare, Xbox now owns the majority of notable Western RPG studios and franchises. Let's take a look at what's coming. Xbox has the capability to create a truly incredible first-party output of RPGs never before seen under one platform. This of course all depends on the studios that Xbox has acquired, but these studios have the cash to provide confidence that they will deliver. Let's take a deeper dive into each of these studios to see what they're working on, starting out with the most notable RPG studio of the last 2 decades. Bethesda are probably the most notable RPG studio of the last decade. They have made some of the most popular and critically acclaimed RPGs of all time, from Fallout 3 to Skyrim and beyond. Their games have a distinctive feel, for better or for worse. While their games are truly infinite sandboxes to play in, that has led to quite a few bugs and frustrating situations. Their reputation has probably seen a slight decline over the last few years, as their last game, Fallout 76, was met with poor reviews. While their recent resume has not been the best, they still have a lot of promise for the future. Their next 2 games, Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6, are 2 of the most highly anticipated coming over the next few years. Starfield is rumoured to be coming out in 2021, and whilst we don't know much about it, we do know it will be an epic space sci-fi adventure. A Bethesda game set in space sounds pretty enticing, and we should know more about this ambitious title relatively soon. The Elder Scrolls 6 will be the latest game in the legendary series that started more than 2 decades ago. Now, this latest iteration in the Elder Scrolls saga isn't expected for a while, and by the time it is released we would have been more than a decade past since the Elder Scrolls 5, Skyrim. Skyrim obviously is one of the most popular games of all time and has been bought and rebought millions of times. Presumably, the Elder Scrolls 6 will be a massive success on its name alone. Whenever that game does come out, and assuming it stays an Xbox exclusive, which we think it will be a massive landmark game for Xbox and likely push many players into the ecosystem. Bethesda game studios are a developer that release massive games that other games make sure to stay clear of. For Xbox, Bethesda will be a prominent developer for many years to come and ensure that Xbox is seen as a prominent home for anyone who loves a really good role-playing game. Obsidian have made a lot of great games in their time as a studio. From the sequel to KOTOR, Fallout New Vegas, to The Outer Worlds and others, they have a history of making critically acclaimed RPGs on a limited budget. The next game they are making, Avowed, looks a lot like The Elder Scrolls, which isn't a bad thing at all. Obsidian is quite similar to Bethesda, at least in terms of the games they make, and they certainly have a bit of shared history. Both studios make RPGs that rely on dialogue, sandboxes and player choice. They worked on Bethesda's own IP when they made Fallout New Vegas, which is arguably the better game in the entire series. Obsidian themselves have never had the luxury of a large budget like Bethesda has. They've gone from publisher to publisher looking for the green light to make a game. Under Microsoft, they will no longer have to worry about that money aspect. All they'll need to do is focus on creating the games they want to make. Obsidian is one of the best RPG developers in the world, and there's a great chance they can end up being the best RPG developer in the world if given the proper resources and time. Their talent and track record gives confidence that they can live up to expectations. InExile are masters at isometric RPGs. Their latest game in Wasteland 3 is one of the best in recent memory. InExile is working on 2 new RPGs, although we don't know much more about them than that. InExile is another studio that has struggled with budget constraints and lack of scope. Under Microsoft, this studio should be able to stretch themselves and make bigger and better games. InExile is led by Brian Fargo, an industry veteran who has worked on projects such as the Fallout series and The Bard's Tale. InExile has roots in legendary studio Interplay Entertainment, which went on to birth both InExile and Obsidian. Out of all the studios that Microsoft has acquired, it's reasonable to expect InExile to get probably the biggest bump from the extra resources and time that Microsoft affords them. They are very talented and will have a chance to shine as an Xbox Game Studio first-party team. Playground Games are newcomers to the RPG genre, but due to their success as a studio, there is a lot of confidence they'll succeed in their upcoming reboot of Fable. Playground is most well known for their critically acclaimed Forza Horizon series, which has delivered title after title, 4 so far. They have mastered the open world racing genre. Now we will have to wait and see if they can transfer their open world expertise to role-playing games. We don't know much about the game, but the trailer that was released a few months ago shows that Playground at least understands the charm of Fable. Lionhead's Fable was a very unique RPG series. It didn't rely heavily on stats or classes, but instead focused on player choice and interactive gameplay. It will be most interesting to see where Playground takes this series. There's an expectation that Fable fans will have, and the Playground team will want to modernise the series and bring it forward. Playground is extremely talented, but they'll have to walk that fine line between respecting the series' legacy and bringing new ideas and modernising it for today's gamer. If they're able to do that, it will be yet another addition to what is looking like a ridiculously strong RPG lineup for Xbox. Zenimax Online is perhaps the overlooked studio among Xbox's RPG-focused teams, but they need to be on everyone's radar. The Elder Scrolls Online is a legitimately good MMO and has been getting consistent updates for years. Zenimax Online are another team with some incredible talent, and they've done an excellent job adapting the work Bethesda Game Studios has done with the Elder Scrolls universe, transferring it successfully into that multiplayer, massive online world. This studio is also working on a brand new IP. We don't know anything about it yet, but based on their MMO expertise, we should expect something with online connectivity. And there we have it. Every Xbox studio that we know of that is currently working on an RPG. It goes without saying that Xbox has an immense amount of talent across their 23 studios, and the RPG genre may be their biggest strength. Xbox has always been the traditional home of great RPGs. From Fable to Oblivion, from Mass Effect to The Outer Worlds, Xbox has a history of delivering some of the best Western RPGs ever made. The next generation of Xbox has a chance to be incredibly special. After recent serious investment from Microsoft, Xbox is definitely here to stay as a powerhouse in the gaming industry. They're also going to be a powerhouse in the RPG space, and at the end of the upcoming generation, they may deliver one of the greatest generations of RPGs in gaming history. Time will tell if this comes to fruition, of course, but the talent under Xbox is undeniable. For fans of video games in general, that's a win across the board. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from us, hit subscribe. If you want to be alerted when we drop content straight away, ring the notification bell so you get a little alert on your phone or at home on your desktop. And if you want to support Xbox Era, head to xboxera.com and join our community. And we'll see you next time.